got to have some creativity there. If you walked into like vacant stadium, Gillette Stadium, and it's vacant and football shut down, is it worthless because of that? No, there is some value to it. Creativity with deals that can be accomplished to remove all sorts of roadblocks. And some of it's capital, some of it's partnerships. So what's a creative deal that you've done?
I have a couple, that you guys are both involved in, so we can talk about that if that works. So the first one being the Papillion deal about 2 years ago, I think. I had a friend of mine call me that he has a whole bunch of multifamily and he's a lone wolf. He's never partnered with anyone, does a lot of the work himself. He owns, I don't know, probably almost 200 units and all his, and a bunch of them are paid off. Like he has been my mentor indirectly for a long time about multifamily. Bought my very first multifamily from him. And whenever he has called me and said, I have a deal, because he's to a point where he doesn't need, he's busy enough and he doesn't want to do big projects anymore. So sometimes he'll call me and he'll be like, I have a deal. This was brought to me. You should look at it. I have bought every single one. Every time he has brought something like that to me, I bought it.
What's his phone number?
Yeah, you're never getting it. But great dude. His name's Paul Lena. Good friend. He's just knows so much about real estate. He's forgotten more than I know. And he called me about this deal, and it was a 24-unit apartment complex, townhome style, which we love because of how the setup and the layout is. And he said 8 of the units are down. The owners live in a town that's 45 minutes away. They originally bought this. They lived a lot closer. They thought they were going to do it HGTV style, and it was going to be their retirement hobby. But they're burned out. It got away from them because one unit went vacant, then another one went vacant, then another one went vacant, then they had a flood, then they had somebody not pay rent. It just kind of was a snake eating its own tail after a while. And he's like, I would take this deal on. He goes, but I just don't have, I can't do it right now. There's too much going on. So I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, this is a killer deal. And I just saw the potential of it, but I looked at it and I probably could have taken it down by myself with my available funds. But man, I did not have the bandwidth.
Thanks for not taking it down yourself.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I looked at it as, man, this is 40 minutes from my house. I'm going to have to manage 8 rehabs all at once, multiple contractors. This is going to suck, basically. And so I remember, I think I called you. I don't know where I was driving, but I called Colin and I told him about the deal. And he's like, yep, I'm in. I barely even got any words out. He's like, yep, I'm in. And then all of a sudden you're in, because I remember I was like, well, I don't know if Chris want to be involved or whatever, and he's like, hang on, he's in. And I was like, I didn't even, this wasn't official yet, so I just saw my equity going from 100% to 50 to 70 or to 25 in a span of 5 minutes. But so I was kind of in that mindset where I was like, oh man, I'm like Gollum with Lord of the Rings, oh my precious, I don't want to give that away. And then now that we have been through this, so I negotiated directly with the sellers, got it under contract, negotiated a $200,000 seller carryback. So basically that reduced significantly the amount of money we would have to bring as a down payment. Then you guys introduced me to one of your partners on other deals who has access to quite a bit of money through private capital. So he brought basically the entire down payment. And not only that, but we all took an acquisition fee of $10,000, I think that wasn't a big fee, but $10,000. And then I also gave my friend that told me about the deal $10,000, which he had no idea what that was going to happen, by the way.
That was rewarding.
Oh yeah. And I walked in his office, handed him that, and he's like, he put it right in his pocket. I'm like, aren't you even going to look at it? Are you going to give me the satisfaction of looking at it? So he pulls it out of his pocket and he's like, dude, he hit big. It was, so that was really cool. That was a cool moment.
I'm sure.
So yeah, we got that under contract, and then the seller carryback was great. We had really good interest rate that you guys lined up with a credit union here. Chris did. And then once all the units were repositioned, not only did we not have to put any of our own money in the deal, but we refinanced and got $30,000 a piece back. Does that sound right? And then we did a cost segregation study. So this is a little bit more advanced, but we basically did a cost segregation study, and then we each were able to get an $80,000 credit as a result of that cost seg study that we were able to apply to our own, tax situation.
Write-offs.
Yeah, write-offs.
Yeah.
And sorry, not tax credit, but write-offs. So it's just the gift that keeps on giving. And we've had, distributions of the cash flow, and it still cash flows well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was and now I look at it and I'm like, I am really dumb for even considering for a second that I should have handled that whole thing by myself.
Bought it for 1.8 and
1.7.
1.7.
1.7,
Yep.
and then it recently appraised for 3.2, 3.3.
Yeah, and we put 300 or so thousand into it. And so I remember looking at the rent roll, it was about $11,000 a month, I think they were grossing there, which if you were to run the math on that, so this is something else. Everybody says buy on actuals. Guys, you got to have some creativity there. If you walked into like a vacant stadium, Gillette Stadium, and it's vacant and football shut down, is it worthless because of that? No, there is some value to it. So same with this. So units were down. Rents were like at $695. Well, now we're at, I think, $1,300, maybe eclipsing that. And our gross rents are over $27,000 a month. Sure, was the cash flow negative day one? Yes. Was it negative for a while? Yes, but you understand your market and you go do the work and you create that value. So that's where I think some people get hung up on. They'll see some vacant units or a landlord that hasn't pushed the rents. They'll be like, oh no, this property is only worth 200,000 and market says it's 400, but you can push it to 600,000. So I can maybe pay 225. And they're never going to get that deal because they're not seeing the creativity of the work that needs to be put into it. Sure, you're going to spend money on holding costs and all these other things, but just like hard money and any other expense, you factor that into your overall equation. And if you have that net positive, and for our business model, if we can refinance out of it and collect 100% of our capital back or close to on that refinance, doesn't matter what the fees are, doesn't matter what those holding costs are, as long as we account for it on the front end. So